Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we'll be making this very simple and basic shift dress that has a drawstring around the waistline, and it also has this lovely scrub V neckline. So without wasting much of our time, let's get right into it. Okay, so here's the fabric that we'll be working with. This is the full fabric the way it comes, but I won't be using up everything. I think around 2 yards or more will be enough. This is the black fabric doll face material that we'll use for the scrub neckline, and we'll also be needing some interfacing also for the neckline. Now the first thing is to determine how much fabric you need before you go ahead and fold. So for that, I did my half shoulder length plus my desired sleeve length, and you also need to consider the black fabric that will be attached at the end of the sleeve. So whatever that gives you, you multiply that by 4 so that when you fold your fabric into 4, you have enough fabric to work with. So first we're going to fold into 2 like this, and then we get those two ends. As you can see, this is the folding into 2 now. So when we fold it again, we're going to have the folding into 4. So this is how it's done. I just thought I should show you. All right. So here on this side, I have the 4 layers of the fabric. 1, 2, 3, and 4. While on this other end, I have the folded edge. So I'll just quickly place this on my work table. And this folded edge is towards me while the loose end is over there on the other side. Alright, so to begin, the first thing will be to be sure that what I have folded is actually what will be enough for me. So you measure that out, and what we have here is around 20 inches, and this is just what I need. It's okay for me. Okay. Alright, so now we'll rule the starting line or the shoulder line at the top by going down around half an inch from the edge of the fabric. Then I'm going to take the neck measurement. I'm using 3 inches for the front and the back neck width, while for the back neck depth I use 1.5 inches. So I connect those points with a curve like this. Then I come down by 8 inches for the front neckline. So I'll just mark that point and leave it there. We're going to come back to the neck. Then I'm going to put my body measurements. So I'm doing here my shoulder to bust measurement. I mark that point and note it. Then shoulder to waist, shoulder to hip, and finally the desired dress length. And while you're marking this, please bear in mind that we're attaching a black fabric to the hem of the dress. So whatever you get, whatever is your desired dress length, you need to subtract around 2 inches from that and mark. So I'll just extend those points with these lines and finish off at the hem of the dress with a straight line across. So that's the dress length, the hip line, the waistline, and the bust line. Now I'll put in my half shoulder length. For me, that's around 9 inches. And since I'll be using up the entire fabric, I'll just go to that end there and come down by 1.5 inches for my shoulder slope. I'll connect the shoulder slope to the neck width with a slant line like this. And remember that when we're cutting, we're going to be cutting about half an inch on top of that line. Now I'm going to put my round body measurements. So what I did for each of them, because I wanted enough room, is that I put my round body measurement divided by 4 plus 4 inches for ease and 1 inch for sewing allowance. So that's a total of 5 extra inches. So I'm doing the same thing for my waist and also for the hip. Mark the round body measurement plus the extra amount of allowance and ease that you want. Since it's a drawstring dress around the waistline, I decided to use a lot of allowance so that when you draw the string at the waist, the dress will really ruch and give it the shape that you want. So I connect those points with these lines like this. Then I came back to soften those sharp points with a small curve like this. Then I'll connect the armhole area with a curve this way. Now I came back to the waistline and I want to go down by 1 inch so that I can mark the area where we're going to attach the pocket, because this dress has 2 inseam pockets. And after that, we can now begin to cut. So just quickly cut around all the lines that we have marked this way. Alright, you're done now. So go to that waistline, the 1 inch that we came down by, and notch that area so that it reflects on all the 4 layers of the fabric. The next thing will be to take out this inner piece, and that is going to be the back piece of the dress. Fold what is left neatly in half, and this is going to be the front. So I come back to the neck area so that we can now do the scrub neckline. So on that 8-inch mark down there, I came in by 1/2 inch, noted that point, and I'm going to connect to the neck width with a slant line like this. Okay, now after you connect this, the next thing will be to cut out this area this way. All right. Now it's time to create the scrub neckline. I already have these black pieces of fabric prepared. I ironed interfacing to the wrong side of the fabric, and I just want to cross check the length to make sure that I have more than enough. So I'm going to place it on this V area like this. The raw edge is aligned correctly to the raw edge of the V neck. So I'll place the other one on the right side as well. And I used pins to hold them down for sewing. Okay, so I'll just quickly do that off camera, and then I'll come back to this area and I'll come down by 1/2 inch. So I'm going to mark this 1/2 inch point on the 2 black fabrics that I have on the V-neck. So we're going to sew and stop on those 1/2 inch points. So we sew from one side using 1/2 inch sewing allowance. When we get to the point that we marked, we do a back stitch and we stop. That point right there. Then on this other side, we're going to be starting from that 1/2 inch point and sew it all the way to the neck width. Take out your pins as you sew. Okay, so now this is what it should look like when you're done. And remember, we're doing this on the right side of the dress. Okay, so I just use my chalk to make those points visible again. Now we're going to make a small notch that's going to go like slant on this side, but be careful not to make it on the black fabric. So we'll make one on the right and the other one on the left. This is going to help us turn this fabric over just like this. Okay, so you just flip it over like this, and this is what you should have. So you tuck the extra part inside, like over inside to the wrong side of the dress. You're going to give this a good press so that it stays nice and flat. When you come back, this is how we're going to sew it. So now you come over to the wrong side of the dress, pick up that part that we notched, and we're going to do a small stitch across like this. Okay, this is how I held it down and gave it a small stitch across to keep everything together. Now this part, be careful when you're doing this so you don't squeeze up the dress. So when you're done, I use pins actually to hold it on the right side, and this is what we have when we finish. Okay. All right, see the way they crisscrossed on each other. That's what we're looking for. So for the back neckline, I used a bias tape to finish it off. So you know how we do it. To place it on the right side, open it up, and let the crease of the bias tape guide you as you sew. So you just sew it up to the other end, and then you're going to flip it over to the wrong side and do a top stitch on the bias tape to hold it down. So of course you start from one end and finish off on the other side. All right, now it's time to make the pockets. So I got this piece of fabric, folded it 2 times, and that's the folding into 4, so that we have 4 layers. Then I marked 7 inches on one end, and I'm tracing out my hand just roughly like this, and then you can cut out this rough pattern, and that would be the pockets. So when you cut it out, don't forget to open it up on the folded edge so that you can have your 4 pieces. Okay, 2 will be on the right, 2 on the left, and that will create the pocket. So to attach it, remember those notches we made. We're going to place one piece of the pocket. This is the front piece, by the way, so place it starting from that notched area, right side on top of the right side of the dress, and you give a straight stitch across to attach it. All right, of course you do the same thing for the back piece. So when you finish, the next thing will be to join the dress at the shoulders, and then it will be time to put to sew the black fabric to the sleeves. So first thing is to measure out the sleeve. I opened it up like this. This is the front and the back joined at the shoulder. Open it up, get the measurement, because that's the measurement I'll use to cut out the black fabric. It's 4 inches wide, and when you fold it and give it a good press, it's around 2 inches. So we're going to use 1/2 inch sewing allowance to sew it, to join it to the dress, to the sleeve of the dress. So of course you're going to do the same thing on the other side, and when you flip it over, that's what it should look like. Repeat the same thing on the other sleeve. Okay, we're almost done, but not exactly. So give this a really good press so that everything stays nice and flat, and then you can now attach the black fabric to the hem of the dress. So this one, just pretty much like what we did for the sleeves, get the measurement for the front and the back, use that to cut out the black fabric. What I have here is 5 inches wide when you open it up, and it's around 2.5 inches when you fold it and iron it. So you place it on the right side of the dress and use a straight stitch to join it across. Of course, you're placing the raw edge to the raw edge of the dress. Now to join it on the side, start from the sleeves, use 1 inch sewing allowance and 1/2 inch for the pocket area to join the dress on the sides. So I'm just quickly giving this a notch around this arm area, and also notch this pocket area. Trim off the excess of the scrub neckline. Repeat the same thing on the other side. Okay, so for the very last part of the dress, attaching the drawstring casing, I came down from the shoulder to my under bust measurement. I marked that on the front and drew a straight line across. Then I came to the middle and I noted the middle of the front piece. I went on either side of this center point by 1/2 inch. So the drawstring casing will start from this point, and this line that I just drew is going to guide me to sew it on top. So I went to the back, repeated the same measurement, and drew the straight line. And that's going to guide us to sew the casing at the back as well. So for the casing, the fabric here is 1 inch when it's folded, but when you open it up, it's 2 inches. So you fold 1/2 inch on each side and give it a really good press so that it's easy when it's time to sew. So to begin, I'll just fold in half an inch and then I'll start sewing. And you're going to sew this on two parts. You sew on top, then you come down and sew on the bottom as well, all the way around. When you get to the end, trim off the excess fabric, fold it, and make sure it's resting on the other half-inch mark that is away from the center point. And friends, once you're through with that, the very last step will be to pass the string round the casing using a safety pin. And once you do that, guys, the dress is finally ready. Here's what we have. Very simple, very easy, beautiful drawstring dress. I hope you try this and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate. So till next time, guys. Bye.